This is Gerald Tuan van Maas and the educational channel of demonstrations regarding the sound informed theory that explains how letters really direct you into a kind of suggestive direction so that you will adapt to what is needed, what is expressed in words that are used for it. It's not very deliberate that we use the sound and sound combinations to help you into a direction, but these words are built up in such a way that they are building blocks that follow the rules of a kind of natural order that takes care that these directions are really real and can be sensed. And there's a complex background why it works, but there's also they are also, you can sense them actually quite easily once you know what it is. So these subtle directions to show you, okay, go that direction, are actually felt quite easily, in the same way as they bring us out of balance in a way that is needed at that point, as an action that is needed at that point. So there is in the background there is a kind of simplicity in it, that it is very subtle, that we try to change the fundamentals of the directions. And there are methods to understand this. The whole structure that all the letters are built up is also built up in the same structure as the numerological order has a structure of 9 different letters, and the most easy thing to make a distinction is a distinction in 3. So these 9 letters, 9 numbers are helpful, but it's mostly 3 categories that are very different, that are the most guiding and most direct as in a suggestive way. Let's go to the presentation of what are the underlying directions. I had about 8 videos that explained the whole structure underneath. In this last video I will make a resume of the 3 main directives, the 3 main directions. And the first region of order is a very simplistic, as a placement of things in space. You need it. When do you need it? You need it when you are working on definitions, working on orientations. You try to orientate yourself, you try to name the things. So it is very one-pointed, it's directed on the positions, it's directed on the objects themselves, they try to describe them, and so on. And all the letters that fit within that category, all the suggestions in that category, are nothing but trying to form a direct place and a position and a formulation of how the things look like. And so this is the 3-dimensional world, which is also oriented like that. And what do we need? What do we need there in that kind of background world? We only need a direction. So it is a bit the same as following our own direction. It's the same as we follow our own thoughts and so on. And it is a way of thinking of directions that match with how we ourselves have a foundation, a starting point in giving an order to everything. This order works if we simply describe our own order. It works and it has its own gravity, how it expresses itself, how it develops itself, and so on. But it's very vulnerable, because once it starts to meet other people, other opinions, other places, and so on, it's very quickly out of balance. So it also has a tendency to have a very direct experience that the definitions that we have might not do it. So in that case, they bring us out of balance, and we have a quite difficult time of maintaining the same definition all the time again. There is an evolution underneath it that tends to, to make us a bit more awake than in this mindset of limitations that we are building up. Every time when we are in unease, when we are confronted with each other, we try to defend these definitions that we have as a foundation. But there's a reason why we are confronted with other things, because these other opinions, these other things are actually true as well, and we can't learn them in that way. We can only get out of balance when it doesn't match with the reality that we are also confronted with. So that's why we need an extra order that helps us, that guides us when we don't have the starting points that can help us to finalize this, to make this bigger, or to make this work. So we have a helpful tool, and this helpful tool is not the placement of things, but it is the timing. So thanks to time, we can postpone things that doesn't work, so it doesn't bring us out of balance. We simply make a balance so that we can work towards, so that in some stage or another, some time or another, we will reach it, and we will have a moment where this will work. So it is a kind of compromise between what we are building up and someone else is building up, and we use this in confrontation, in communication this time. So it's not so confronting, it's in communication that we use it. We have actually now we are trying to build up our ideas further in communication. We still try to defend our own ideas, but we already have ideas that, okay, when we have some kind of balance between two ideas, where it will work for both of us, if we concentrate on that aspect, we know how to maintain order and build up the things further. These are all aspects that need time, and there we can maintain also order and cooperate with the things that one of both parties want to change. It's a perspective of the 3 dimensions plus 1 dimension, this one of time. And it has actually a kind of focus of a 3-dimensional stable position in the middle of 2 differently evolving things, and there the reality is quite limited. It's quite limited, but it will work. We know there it works. It's our balance. So we have a tool there that is fit into a time in a passive position, but we can actively work towards it so that we can find the idealized moment where the things match. So these are the matches in the middle, and all these letters that fit in each category actually are also still describing these limitations and the way we think in each region. In the first region, we only define the working elements. It's going from 0 to 1. It's in one go. It tries to define the definition of 1, and it only follows the gravity of these things themselves. The helpful tool is with the time calculates the things differently. It has to have a different perspective, because it's now going towards a position where it thinks, okay, here I have a stability, but it's a very temporal stability. I idealize stability, which I try to calculate around a 0 point, while the persons follow the number one. They follow their own positions and definitions. So here the focus is on balancing out, and all these letters follow this idea, all these letters that are connected with it. And what we have, we no longer follow our own gravity, but we follow a new point of gravity, which is the temporal gravity, where the balance is put back to a certain order, where actually it doesn't hurt anymore, it doesn't matter anymore, we have something to work with. Actually, it would be ideal if we could find that everywhere, but it's not like that. The other person, we can also achieve a lot of things that we are the only ones that understand it, and even in an idealized in-between position, it might not even exist, because the other person would never understand it in not any condition, and it's not even working towards it. He's following his own path, I'm following my own path, so the middle road is not always found. It's so not even in time, not even in preparations. Both parties, both two opinions can go in different directions, and in its own they could still work. In an ideal form of what you say, like, yeah, but in full reality there should be a match somewhere. Yeah, maybe it is true, but it is within two persons it's not. So what is the solution? So we will have an extra gravity point, and this extra gravity point is actually in the middle of what exists everywhere. We will add an extra gravity point, and this gravity point is related or is a bit associated, like how we have perspective in general. If we look at the horizon, this horizon is infinitely long. It's infinite around each other. We have a 0 point, so we will find the elements between 0 and the infinite. And if we have two different paths, the one from the other, the one from me, you might not find always the good match between this first one and the other one, but we could find a general balance that will work for both of us, because these are the general rules. It's the general balance of reality, which is even much more superior against the temporal foundation. This third region is mostly saying, like, okay, just leave your own vision behind, your own gravity behind, leave the communications, what you try to achieve in balance behind, but adapt to what the balance of the things are, how they exist, how they are between 0 and in the infinite world, and then see how you have to change everything, or we have to change our perspectives, of the perspectives themselves need to change. That's the third kind of reality, of suggestions that you can have in letters. And I will give an example of these 3 different regions. But I first resume it a little bit better, and then I explain what is the difference between the first region, the second region, and the third region, and so on. There are letters that fit with each region. So when we are objective, when we are dealing with objects in the 3-dimensional world, we just name them as they are, and they grow from each other, from one center, and so from one point or towards one point. There are not many words there with that you can make only from these letters. I know some Dutch words, but all these letters are just, yeah, they go from one center and they don't leave that center. They're just an object within that center and nothing more than that. In the second category, we have we are in communication, so we're trying to balance the things out in time, thanks to that we have the time for it, and next we have patterns for it that will fit on time. So I will make a word that will fit into this second category, and I choose a letter from each level. And I have the word pen. So when I design the pen, I will have the P that will be pressed out of the process. I have it stretched out or worked out in the E, and I will try to use it for my own purpose, for the one. So that's my goal, that's my starting point. I will try to use the pen for myself, for my own purposes. And then the last letter is the conclusion, is the N, so I have to have a content that I put in it. But because we are in the second position, so we are not talking about objects, and we're not talking about something that we can do anything with it what we want. No, it is a position, one, that has to go to the 0 point, to the communication, that's the goal. So the content in the end in the pen has to be poured into the middle point of this balance, and this balance is trying to seek a neutral balance so that it communicates and that we understand each other. So what is pressed out and worked out by me and where I put a content in it, even there the purpose is in time that it will be used to, the pen is used to write down even the idea, whatever you do with it, to make the communications work. That's how the pen is not just the object, but there's also a relationship in it, and that's why these letter combinations also direct you into that position, into that kind of balance. So how would a word like that work if I will change one letter and make it fit into the last category? I will do that. The last category, as I said, is the full perspective with the things how they are, with the 0 point, the different ones, and the balance in between it, and then the adaptation, how it works for everyone. How will that be adapted in this context? So the pen has to change its idea. Here the pen is still used by me, and it's used for the purpose of communication. But when I change one letter from pen into pin, then I have to follow the E position. The E is the insertion, which goes towards the new 0 point, the gravity point actually, that actually connects everything, where connects everything there. So each process that comes out of it, that has that center point of vision, is the pinpoint of our reality, and that's why the pen is different from pin. I hope you understand that quite more or less. So these three regions, they can help you to understand well if you have letters and you have the scheme, and you see they are in the first category, the second or the third. You already know what the letters are also about. They are directing you suggestively towards these positions, that they are either in the first category, finding its definition, its objective, its direction, its physicality, or they are in the second category, they're trying to find a temporal balance in the now, or in the future, or in some point in time, or it is about a general aspect. It directs you towards the idea that no, you need to refocus yourself. This is an object where you don't have to deal with like what it is or how you have to communicate with it, but simply what is it? What does it? What is it really? And what's the perspective in how it is? And these are the three categories that you can also use in your understanding of the directions that are guiding you towards certain meanings and combinations of meanings by combining these letters. I hope this was also helpful. This was a guiding video for a little bit more about the theory itself. Anyhow, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching this. There's a website too with a list of some of the theory and a list of words that I demonstrated before, how these letter combinations in the words show you also these directions, or even the formation process itself. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to keep yourself updated. Thanks again. Bye bye.